there's so much going on in the world right now. It's just crazy. There's so much stuff to keep an eye on if you're doing the truther thing. There's a lot to watch, and there's a bunny playing with my scarf. There's too much to keep an eye on. There's too much chaos. I talk about it in my last video, and it's just something that you try to keep a leg up on, to not get depressed by it. It's like there's this whole rush or excitement that now, everybody can have their say, whether it's YouTube or Rumble or one of the other freedom outlets where they don't censor you as much anymore, and people are noticing that it's going on, and they're trying to crush that shit where it stands, and just take back over the freedom of speech and the freedom of voice, which I love. There's so much now. There's so much. There's a lot. There's too much. It can be overwhelming. I used to be one of those people who did what you might call the truther marathons, or as other people like to call it, conspiracy theory OCD mode. But I used to be one of those people who used to do that a lot. And you may not realize it, but there is addiction in that. There's almost an addiction of overdose on the truth, where you can be like, okay, it's not so much I don't know what to believe anymore, because generally, as long as you're honest with yourself, you know what's meant for you and what's not for you, and there's always that fine line that you have to walk. And you always want to take the time and stop and know what is meant for you and not meant for you. But the reality is, just the same as when you're watching scary dark stuff on Netflix or something, you're watching scary dark stuff, you have a tendency to zone out. And the mind just takes it all in. And you may think you're a critical thinker at all times, but the mind will just take it in and accept the reality. The same is true with all the truther stuff. And don't get me wrong, again, I love what's going on with people just getting together, getting out there, being able to have their say without videos being taken down, etc., without their opinions just being set on fire, right before their very eyes to disappear forever. I love that there's finally the ability to do that. With that, there is also the ability to get caught up in it to where it affects your day. It affects the next day. Were you up too late watching, whether you call it truther or conspiracy, or whether you call the stuff somewhere in between edutainment, I don't know. Sometimes you end up too late. Sometimes you feel like you're way down the rabbit hole, but then that rabbit hole corkscrews, turns. Next thing you know, you're spit back out. You're spit back out somewhere out in China, or something like that. For all I know, you're spit back out in just about mainstream land, or just fake facts land, false flags land. So I addressed that in the last video, and it's just this whole overwhelm and pressure to, if you're able to shine a light on what's false, if you're able to promote the truth in a way that's beneficial for others, there is this pressure. There's so much pressure. There's pressure to be like, what am I doing right now? You need to keep going, I have this in me, I swear I am called, The thing is, you might be called, and that's awesome, but the thing is, we're called to be there and present. We're called to be there and present in our own lives even more, and that's what we forget. So that might take sacrificing of a lot of the truth and material. That might take sacrificing of a lot of the binge sessions, Just like you finally stopped binge sessioning video games before you became a truther. There's some of us who would say that we're all walking around in one giant video game, more or less. Anyway, this is a holographic, hyperdimensional construct. Anyway, point being, I'm looking at a bunny who's exploring the room. A baby bunny is kind of exploring the room. I've uploaded a video here before too. But before I run out of time, because I didn't clear off the memory card, I real quick wanted to say, you have an obligation to your own life before you have an obligation to. Sometimes that's another whole trap. The mainstream and all the bull crap was there to get you in to begin with, where it's like, you have an obligation. You have an obligation. The funny thing is, that's what so many people are waking up to with their uploads, is they're like, wow, I'm no longer obligated to this bull crap. But as a result, some weird phenomena is happening where those people are becoming more and more obligated to daily grind and pressure for views, pressure to monetize those views. Don't accidentally say shit or you'll lose that monetization. Don't say this, don't say that. By the way, now I'm waking up to that I used to be obligated to not be to a life where I wasn't able to say what I wanted to say. Do you get that? It's like an echo inside an echo inside an echo. It's just another whole matrix. It's a meta matrix behind that. So we have got to be careful. We have got to be vigilant. And I talk about this a little bit, briefly touch on it in the last video that's at my Rumble, and I will link to my Rumble. I don't upload tons. Don't follow me because I upload every day. That's the thing, is people are like, oh, I only get followers, and people only even pay attention to anything at all I have to say if I'm talking for 4 hours a day and I'm live and I make these cool graphics. I was making the cool graphics for a while too. I've over a decade of being able to make the most insane graphics on the planet, not to brag, but it all looks like you're in those alien worlds, and pretty much for a reason they look like that. So, and I won't get into that right now because that's another whole 20 minutes. I don't know how much time I covered right now, but I don't want to kill the CF card in my camera here, and just hit the end of it, because then I won't even be able to use the footage I do have, I don't think, if I remember right. So, probably not, but anyway, you have an obligation to yourself, and an extension of that obligation to yourself is to your family and your pets, and spending time with your pets and making them happy. The reason they do shit like act out and bite you, both your pets and your kids sometimes act out and bite you, is because you're freaking spending more time uploading about how you no longer have obligations to this fake facts world and this false flag world, and you're just obligated to getting the page views for shouting from the rooftops how you don't have all these obligations. And you're losing your family, and you're losing your pets, you're losing your kids' respect, and the person you love's respect. So it's just, that's, again, finally, to close this all off, tie this all off as best I can, that's great that there's this whole, we're all waking up from the shit that's been put on these 6 main channels and these 6 main news outlets that are run by the 6 biggest corporations and richest people on the planet, who are in league with stuff like Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Council, etc., etc. That's great that now we can wake up from that and we can talk about it and the facts inside that, and what we find out about the facts inside those facts, and what we find out about our military cousin who is saying things that no one else is supposed to know, that now we can go on YouTube and possibly get him in trouble about, or Rumble or something, possibly get him in trouble over, because we decided to spill the beans and show that we, the fact that I know this means I'm going to get more page views. It will be worth it to stream live more for the next 6 weeks, and now I'm going to get way higher up there in my monetization. I can quit my dumb effing job. And meanwhile, to quit your dumb effing job, you've lost your kids' respect, you're losing your wife, you're losing your pets, they're sitting there starving, and it's like, oh, I forgot to get them food again, both the kids and the pets, you forgot to feed the pets, then you realize you forgot to feed the kids even. So, you see what I mean? It's just about having wisdom on anything, because your heart your throat chakra, your heart chakra, any chakra. Sorry if you don't agree in chakras, that's fine. I don't give a shit. Your throat, sometimes something that's healthy can become so healthy that you rely on it more and more to where the rest of the system becomes clotted up and stagnant. And imagine a throat chakra that at first it's glowing and vibrant, but it keeps expanding and expanding. And what happens with things that keeps expanding is they still reach a point of entropy because there's nowhere else that energy can go, and they just suck back into a tight point and implode in on themselves. And that's one of the worst things of all that can happen. So I guess I just wanted to talk about something that's on my mind. I felt like uploading something. I felt obligated. I felt compelled. So that's it for me tonight. And hopefully for a few more weeks or so,